Well, if it isn't something posted by our favorite idiot and constitutional law scholar, Chili DeCastro, let's go ahead and correct him on the record, shall we? It's kind of hard to tell from this, but it looks like Chili thinks that the first ever income tax ever imposed on the U.S. population was in 1913. I can't tell if he wrote this or if he just copied this from the internet, but that's the way this is reading, and it's just stupid as shit. You see, the way that this little thing reads that Chili posted in his community post actually makes it sound like Congress actually had to create an amendment to the Constitution, the 16th Amendment, which is what they're talking about here, in order to make us pay an income tax, which is totally wrong because Article 1 of the Constitution already expresses that power. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1, the Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. This is Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1 of the United States Constitution. Congress already has the power for taxes. And this is Article 16, or the 16th Amendment. The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived, without apportionment among the several states, and without regard to any census or enumeration. Now, for those of you wondering why in the world Chili's posting about the taxes and all this stuff, well, he's using this as a pretext to say that the IRS is for starting World War III. With all the events we have going on in the world, Chili actually thinks that we're on the brink of World War III. We're always on the brink of a conflict or a war with other countries. It's just the way it is nowadays. But Chili's thinking World War III. So back to proving Chili wrong, the actual first ever American income tax was in 1861 during the Civil War. Congress passed this, and it was a flat 3% on all incomes over $800, and later modified this principle to include a graduated tax. Now, this income tax law was repealed in 1872, but it was during the Civil War that we actually got our first income tax. Now, before all the chiltardos get in here and start trying to cry, oh, but it's an unconstitutional law, it's an unconstitutional law, let me remind you, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1 of the Constitution states that Congress has the power to lay and collect taxes. And we have the 16th Amendment, which was passed in 1913, which says that they can tax incomes. That was passed. It was ratified by the states. So yes, it's constitutional. Also, the 1861 income tax law was actually upheld by the United States Supreme Court when challenged, and they claimed it was constitutional. This is stated by the U.S. Supreme Court. There's documentation. But all of you idiots are going to yell and complain and moan about it. All in all, this article does mention wars, and it does mention the IRS and collecting taxes. However, the only link between wars and taxes that this article mentions is that during wars and after wars, we have taxes, higher taxes, to pay for those wars, which kind of defeats the purpose because that's happened throughout the United States history. Now, I will give this article this, but I want you to think about it. Every war we fought in, from the American Revolution up to modern date, we have always been taxed after a war, and that was to pay for the war effort. During the American Revolution, yeah, we actually paid taxes, and that's one thing we fought over, but we weren't fighting to be free from taxes. We were fighting to have representation for the taxes. When King George said no, people over here in England get to decide whether you pay taxes or not, and you don't get a say in it. That was why we were fighting over taxes. It wasn't because we were being taxed. It was because we were being taxed by people in England without being represented. all in all, this article, while, yeah, it's written fairly well, it's stupid. It makes no complete logical sense in tying the fact that wars and taxes go hand in hand with each other, other than the fact that we get higher taxes during and after a war to pay for it. It's something that has happened throughout the history of our country, which makes Chile and the person who wrote this article out to look like the biggest FUCAn morons on the FUCAn planet. Now, I'll be the first to say this. I don't like paying higher taxes. No one likes paying higher taxes. That means more of our hard-earned money is going to the government when we should be holding on to it. But the fact of the matter is we have to pay those taxes. This is FUCA, and I'm out of here.